Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Comedy Road Podcast. I'm Jason Schuster.
I'm Lena Green.
We have an amazing guest on here today. She is a comedian, one of the funniest out there that I know. You can catch her special, Two Moms, One Mic, on Amazon Prime right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaela Crawford.
Woo, woo, woo!
Hi. Thank you
What's
so much
up?
for having me. I'm so excited
I
to
know.
be here and gossip all about comedy.
Gossip.
We do, right?
We're gossiping right now. I wanted to add actress because we were talking
Actress.
about you saying it, putting it out there, and
Yes.
because that's what you do. It's your
Writer.
art. Yeah.
I met my husband in a screenwriting class, so I'm a writer and an actress.
Yeah.
Actor.
An actor. Yeah, you have to say actor now to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it really
yeah.
sound serious. I'm
She-
serious about
yeah.
my craft.
Kaela doesn't go to Target, she goes to Target.
Target. Oui, oui. Yeah.
Wow, so we're super pumped to have you on here today, and let's just get right down to it.
Let's do it.
The beginning. Let's start. Like, how did you get into comedy, and what was it like? The landscape. Just like paint that out for us.
It's interesting. I didn't start until I was 27, but I should have started when I was 18. Like, my dad walked into my room and he said, I just watched Ellen DeGeneres do stand-up, and I really feel like you can do it. And I was like, Dad, I am a Shakespearean actress. I was like a very big theater kid. Like, I was a theater major. I was like at college, like doing like Midsummer Night's Dream. And I was like, you get out of my room. Like, thou dost protest too much. Like, I was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You know? And he was right. He was right. I cannot believe that there were so many years. I live in regret. That's what I do with my life. I don't know if you guys do that, but like, you look back on it and you go, wow, I could have started sooner. But I started when I was 27. And I had been doing improv in New York.
Okay.
And then when I came to LA, I realized starting over again at like UCB, you have to like form your team, and it's like a whole thing. And then you have to set up times where your group can meet, and
Yeah.
so-and-so can't meet, and they canceled on you. But we rented the room, and now we're at $50.
Yeah.
And you're like, it became kind of exhausting. And I was like, I'm going to take a stand-up class. So I took a stand-up class at Flappers, and then I started doing open mics. And then Paul Rodriguez was nice enough to let me open for him. And that really just, I got the comedy bug.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yep. Usually
And
how it
you
goes.
can. That's what's so nice about stand-up is like, doesn't matter how old you are,
Yeah.
how you look. You're like, I'm going to be doing this when I'm 95 years
Yeah.
old. You know, like, you can't take this microphone away from me. You
Right.
know,
You like have the bedpan. They're like, I'm just want to make you laugh, please.
yeah.
But I love how because you started at 27. I know you're saying, but I think everything happens for a reason. I feel like,
Yes.
did you have your voice already off the bat? Because you hear comedians that start when they're younger and they're like, I had to find my voice. It took me years to find my voice. Did you find that you already had that because you knew yourself at 27?
Yeah, you definitely know yourself, but it's so weird because I started out single when I was doing stand-up, and you're like, I'm that crazy single lady. I'm gonna be, you know, and that was my shtick. And then when I started, I met my husband pretty early on in doing stand-up, and we were like so happy together in the beginning, and I was like, you are messing this up for me. Like, and I remember being on stage and saying like, hey guys, so I'm single, and my husband just got drunk, wasted, and he's like, so you're single?
Why you were married?
Yeah, like when I got off stage, he was like, so you're single now? And I was like, babe, we had just started dating. We weren't even like fully labeled yet. He goes, you think you're funny being single? It's like, I'm supposed to say I'm in a happy, committed relationship? Like,
But people love that though. Like
Yes.
I did a show and everybody who came on stage was like, I'm married. And they got huge claps. So I got on
Right.
stage. I was like, I'm married too. And I said, no, I'm not, you assholes. I just like, people love the love that people have. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
now
it's so interesting because when you're doing stand-up, like, it's whatever you're going through at that time,
yeah.
people can also tell. Like, then I switched over to, okay, now I'm in a relationship, but it's so sad to burn all that single material.
Oh, okay,
You know
that's
what I
the-
mean? That's what's so tough about it. You're constantly changing as a person, and then you have to rewrite, and then you have to start at the bottom again.
Yeah.
Your jokes aren't funny right away. that's the thing about stand-up.
Yeah.
Like, you write a joke and you go try it at a mic, it's not gonna hit.
Well, is that a mic too?
No,
What are you,
like, come on.
What are you talking about? Mics are the friendliest place on earth. It's like
They're so warm and inviting.
Mics are the Disneyland of comedy.
Yeah.
Dude, mics are getting weird now. This guy ripped a mic out and like started calling everybody loser. I was like, why are you angry? What is happening? So it's a different landscape, but I get what you're saying.
Mics are a dangerous place.
dangerous.
Stand-up is dangerous.
You're just dodging bullets up there.
Doing our
Try
service. And then it was interesting. I did a special. I didn't end up releasing it. I filmed it and I did like my half-hour special, and it was about being married. And I have so many clips now on Instagram from that special because it was
really?
edited well. And I look back on it and I watch it now and I'm like, maybe I should release this now. And it's old material, but it does well on Instagram. And you're like, it was that imposter syndrome of like, oh, I shouldn't put this out there and I'm not going to submit it to anyone yet. And I need to be so polished and so perfect and so ready. And now I realize with stand-up, with my special that I just released with Two Moms, One Mic, it was all current to me in the moment. And I was like, I want to release this on Mother's Day. This is all material that I'm no longer going to be doing because I'm not in this stage in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And I have to be willing to like release it and let it go and start anew.
Yeah. Someone told me like women they were like, well, you female comics always like it. Y'all start later or something because y'all want it to be perfect and y'all want to make sure. And I'm like, it's great that, put that out there.
Yeah.
Put it out there. And it's probably something you're proud of and that people are going to really relate to. And
well, also as a woman, like women, we're type A, like perfectionists. We want everything and we care so much about what other people think. And I'm like, I'm constantly thinking like, am I offending this person by this joke? And like I had a Khloe Kardashian joke that will never see the day of life.
What is it?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
What is it?
For the first time ever. For the first time ever.
No. I'm not doing it because, you don't want to offend. People.
You're
I have
nice.
a Kim Kardashian joke. My Kim Kardashian joke is out there. It's about the Zillow and, her naming her kid Chicago, and I'm not going to name my kid Van Nuys. That's
not me.
That's not me.
Not
exactly.
That was the other joke.
Okay.
The other one,
the joke. That's
what was
out
the
there.
what was the no premise? Okay.
You're never going to find me.
You just
I'm locked down.
baited us. We're like, oh.
It's deep in the vault.
You realize like, oh, I want to make people laugh. I don't ever want to make people hurt.
I love that. Some people don't think that.
Beautiful quote.
I know, that was beautiful.
Should we put that on a wall somewhere?
Write that down.
You should have that in your Instagram
Like
bio.
in a cursive,
I like to make people laugh.
I don't want to.
When you have your coffee table book, that should be on the cover.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's just
What
go
would
right
be
there.
in the book? I don't even
Laughs.
Nothing.
know. There's like photos of me holding a microphone with like a cup of coffee.
There's just nothing in it. It's just that quote on the front. That's it. That's all you need.
Blank pages.
$15.99.
Oh my God.
You know what's something I started thinking about, you guys? I'm just gonna
No,
leave this
go.
conversation to the
Yeah,
next. Merch. Do you guys have merch?
That's we
They even told us to
comes
get
up.
merch for the podcast too,
Yeah.
and that is something.
yes.
It is it's
Get merch.
Merch is coming.
People like to
That
buy.
is something when I would open or feature or host for people would have booths and
Yeah.
they'd be selling their merch, and I wasn't doing that, and I was like, I should have been doing that.
Yeah.
Because it really is popular.
Did you make a
Yes.
comedy album out of your specials? Because that's
No,
what sells.
that's popular,
That
too.
sells really well at shows.
Yeah,
and
I was thinking about
learned
doing
that
that,
from
too.
another. I was like, wow, you're just selling. It's like people want it after the show. They're like, we want anything that you
That you did.
did.
Yeah.
Are you selling your merch now? Currently?
I love how you bring this up. Like, yo, you need to have merch.
He's like, do you guys sell merch?
Conversation.
Oh, because you really should. Oh, great. Do you? Sure don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I keep so my next special I want to call it I'm Happy for You. Because that's the running statement. I mean, I feel like I always say that, and it's just since I was like a little kid, you watch people kind of pass you and surpass you
yeah.
and become like big, and you're like, oh, I'm so happy for you.
I think you should take it one step further and call it, I'm so happy for you buying my merchandise.
Yeah.
Wait, before we move on from that, we were talking about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to be honest, at first, I did not believe in it. It was something I thought was a joke, and I did make fun of it in a previous episode. I do want to apologize. I am a believer. It will hit you like a ton of bricks. So I want to put that out there. But what the imposter syndrome that you felt and why you didn't like release the first special, was that dealing with imposter, or what? Why?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Wow, what hard hitting questions.
This is 2020.
Receiving. Yeah. I think imposter syndrome. It's not even about the special. I think it's every day. Like, even when you guys were like, you want to do this podcast? I was like, why me? They're like, you're a comedian. I'm like, oh, wait, I am a comedian. You have to, like, pump yourself up every single day. Every time you go to a show, every time I get, like, a really big show. Even when I got Laugh After Dark, I remember getting the email, and I was like, yes! Can I do this?
Yep.
That's the immediate response you get whenever you get something big. You're like, I've got this. Do I have this? Like,
why me, too?
Yeah.
The why me, like,
is very big.
I'm not special. I don't think I should be. Like, there's so much other people. But then you said you were talking to other people and they feel that, and they were people you look up to. So it's like,
yeah. And then it's also interesting. This other comic, I hate even saying this, but she said to me, she saw my stand up and she felt like she was watching a masterclass. And it was like the nicest, biggest, greatest compliment that I've ever received.
We'll clap it up.
How did you? I want to know how she received it, though.
When she wrote that, I had just gotten home from a show, and it made me so happy. And but I had an imposter syndrome moment of like, no, like, not me. But then I was like, well, wait, maybe me. But then I was like, no, not me. Like, it's an internal struggle. But the compliment does stick with me. And I think about it sometimes because you don't realize what someone else is going through. And even like comics who are huge and who have made it, they're going, I have imposter syndrome. And you're like, but you? Like, how do you have it? And like, look at all the things you have. And even someone I spoke to recently, he was like, yeah, no matter what level you're at, you're always going, but what's next?
Yeah.
And you're still having to hustle, and you're still having to put yourself out there, and you're still having to be the one to promote yourself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, especially with stand-up, it's a constant having to promote yourself, and who am I, and what's my voice, and am I connecting to the audience that I'm performing for?
And believing in yourself, too. And that's hard sometimes when you're like, what? I'm talking about, y'all want to listen to me talk?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
All while we're doing that whole live your life every day kind of thing, and the struggles that we go through every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people see a comedian up there. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes with that comic. Yeah. And I think a lot of us got into comedy because, we wanted to go up there and genuinely make people laugh. But in a lot of ways, we find it therapeutic for us, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very.
Is that how you...
Yeah, for sure. I've been saying to my husband, even recently now, I am so addicted to it to the point where I'm like, I kind of feel like I have to go out every night now and either do a show or do a mic or do this podcast. Like, be creative, because we're creative people.
Yeah.
Like, we want to constantly be performing.
And moving.
And creating something new. Like, I always have this pressure of like, okay, I posted this joke on Instagram, I have to write a new one now.
Yeah.
There's definitely, especially, that's a different ball game now. Instagram wasn't really a big deal when I started doing stand-up. And even in, I think, 2017, Laugh Factory had posted my Beyonce clip, and it got 1 million views.
Beyonce.
And it was a joke that I can't do anymore, but it was really funny.
What's the joke?
I can't even fully remember it, but it was she had just come out with her Lemonade album. Yeah. And I was like, Jay-Z cheats on her and she creates an entire album. If my husband cheated on me, I would just like destroy our IKEA furniture. Right? I'd be like, do you see this $12 nightstand? I'm just going to destroy it in 1 second. That's what I would do if I got cheated on. I'm not going to create a whole album. And that got 1 million views. And I sort of, it was so amazing, but I didn't take advantage of it in the sense of I got a good amount of followers from it, but finding those moments where you go, oh, I should have jumped on that, or I should jump on that, now it's a different game. Instagram, you put out a clip, it gets a ton of views, get a ton of followers, and then now you're touring,
Oh, well, yeah.
It's amazing, but also a lot of us can feel like, oh my God, I put something out, now everybody saw it, and I got to burn it now.
Right.
Do you ever feel like,
yes,
oh my God, what do I do now?
I definitely feel that. I used to really hold my material tight. Like that's why in 2017, 2018, I was not posting any of my jokes. I wasn't putting it out there because I was like, no, I want to still do this at shows. And what if I get a special and I want to do this for my special? And so I was really holding on to it tight. And now I'm like, no, I'm a writer.
Pushes you.
If I quote unquote burn that joke and it's out there, then I got to write more.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. It motivates me. It pushes me to be writing more, to be writing topical jokes as well. Like feeling that pressure of like, oh, this has to kind of feel relevant to what we're going through right now.
Yes.
I find more pressure now to do that as well.
It's wonderful because you're putting stuff out there and you don't know what's going to happen. But Instagram is a new thing. We were talking to Darren about that because he stays on top. And I was like, I hate social media. I really do. But it is so important in our career, like so that important. We are constantly on top of that, even if we hate it, because it's not part of our art, but it is a part of the business of it.
It's true. Art. It's true. When you're out on the road, though, do you change up your material based on the city that you're in?
Yeah. When I was opening for Paul, I haven't been really out of California since having my baby because I had a baby.
That whole thing? Yeah.
But when I would go to like Arizona, I went to some casinos, I went to Vegas. Like I remember you look around you, the names of the streets, you look at the place that you're staying at, you always have to like relate to the crowd. Right up top.
Yeah.
I think you have to comment on like where you are right up top so they get on your side so they can trust you.
Yeah.
So they feel like you're interested in us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you for being interested in us.
Right.
Because I think people who go and like just start talking about themselves like right away, it's sort of kind of like what I'm doing. Like you don't feel connected to that person.
Yeah, are you still going on the road now that you've had a baby? How's that balance, that work life?
So now that I've had a baby, and she's 2 now, now I'm getting the bug to be like, I have some spots in New York that I want to go to. Yes. I'm going to go to Santa Barbara at the end of this month, and I want to go to San Francisco. Like, I do want to do like a mini tour, like set up a little mini tour, so we'll see.
And since you put your latest special out, how have things changed for you since getting something on like a platform such as Amazon Prime?
I think the only thing that's really changed is the amount of views, once again, that I got on Instagram, filming my special and then cutting those clips and then putting it on Instagram and getting like, 60 to 100,000 views on one of those clips. You can tell what a special, like how that makes a difference.
Yeah.
When you post something that's really edited well, that's really clean, that's like a 4K or 5K or Blackmagic camera, it makes a difference for when you're posting and like trying to connect like with your audience. And also when meeting people, it's nice to say like, oh, check out my special and it's here and it's you can see, a portion of my life from like where I was at that time. It's also just a timestamp for me. I think that's what's so important. Like when people put out specials, they're like, "Oh, what did it get you?" And it's sort of like it brought me so much joy, and it's such like a memory.
I don't know about joy, but
no, right? There's a lot
there's a lot of pain.
Yeah, a lot of pain. But then you go, I'm so excited that my daughter is gonna see. This special in particular because I talk about giving birth and I talk about like how difficult it was and how little my husband did and how he ate just a cheeseburger and pizza like next to my bed while I was eating ice cubes. Like, yeah,
I have to tell you, your special, I watched it. It was great. And I was like to my wife, come here real quick. This is what we have to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was right before you
so
had
you
a
gave
baby.
us some early education. And I'll never forget, I did a show, Kaela, long time ago. I think we were at the Federal Bar, and first time I met her, and she started telling me that she was a new mom, and my wife was pregnant, and I was like, oh wow, advice for me, please, anything you got, I'll take it, And she was so awesome, and I think the camaraderie amongst comedians sometimes can get. Internally, we think, comedians are all angry, but there's also a great vibe amongst the community, and a lot of us want to help each other and see each other grow. Did you have any great people along the way that have helped you to come up in your journey in comedy?
Paul Rodriguez was definitely the one who helped me the most and has always been the most kind to me and has always given me the best advice. And I think I was maybe 2 years into doing stand-up when I first opened for him and featured for him, and I was doing 20-minute sets, and we were talking about this earlier where you're going, do I have 20 minutes? Can I hear my own voice for 20 minutes? That's a long time. Do other people want to hear that? I performed for, I think it was 2,500 people, and that was huge, and I was doing 10 minutes for that set. We had 5 shows, and you go, can I keep this crowd who doesn't know me engaged for 10 minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're a comedian, it is a long time.
It's
when
an eternity.
You're just starting out. Yeah, it's an eternity.
And we talked about it's harder doing the shorter ones than because you have time to let it breathe. You could. Maybe a joke doesn't land, but hey, you got more, and so people don't remember that what didn't land in 30 minutes. So doing 10 minutes, you're like, you got to bring the A game and stuff. So it's,
and what's interesting, as it takes, at least for me, it took me years to get comfortable enough to take those pauses, to take the time to tell the joke and let it land, and let there be a little air,
silence,
as opposed to being oh, here's my next joke, here's my next joke, here's my next one. I remember, and this is definitely on YouTube, where I did some shows and I would laugh at my own joke because it made the audience laugh.
It always makes them laugh when you're like,
the audience, the people at home watching you laugh at your own joke are like, what is she doing? Is she having a mental breakdown? People were writing is she on cocaine? Why is she shaking? And I was like,
but it's such a moment because you're having a moment with yourself, and I think the audience can feel that, and it makes them laugh. It's an energy thing too.
It was also something that I leaned on because I was realizing that live, I just write back, you would love me live. You would have been laughing if you had seen this in person.
I promise, in real time, different ballgame.
And that's my comedy is very big and there's no other
you're
way
not afraid to be
describe
silly.
it.
You're
no,
you're
I'm
silly.
so silly, and it's getting that across sometimes on video is more difficult than when you're just a polished, clean, comedian.
Because I think you come off as very I am a good girl. I am so and then when you say some of the stuff you do, it's oh, this is okay. We're getting something, and so it takes people time. But when they get it, it's oh yeah, okay, we get this first. You can kick it with her.
Well, and that's what's interesting too, is because off stage, if I'm comfortable with you, I'm comfortable with you. When I'm comfortable with you, I'm let's balls to the wall, But if I am just meeting you, I'm really quiet, and I'm really reserved, and especially if you go to mics or shows or whatever, I'm the one in the green room just writing my jokes. If someone asks me a question, I'm probably shy and awkward unless I'm vibing with you, and then I'm what's up? My name's Kaela. What's yours? But it's
let's be pen pals.
those people they suck your energy, and then there's people that give you energy.
Oh, the energy suckers are the worst.
And unfortunately, a lot of comedians are I'm just like us, and it gets a lot.
It's you walk in the room. just all sucks out, and they're like, all right, regroup.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There's a term that someone told me I'm an introvert extrovert.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm both of them, which can be very confusing. But then when I'm on stage, that's when I'm big. That's when I feel like I can be free and I'm like, this is who I am. And people, and since the beginning, even I had a show the other day, they were like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, right.
Are we different people? Yeah. Oh, like, what is that? It's still us, but heightened?
Well, I'm just quiet. If I don't have anything to say, then sometimes I just like listen and I take it in. And you're aware when you're around people who want to be big. And they want to be the attention, they want everything on them. I'm just going to like let them. I'm you do you.
Yeah, because there's so many times where like someone be like, oh, tell me a joke right now. I'm like, I don't really want to tell you a joke right now.
Weird.
Like,
people.
It's so weird.
It's
weird.
I think those people secretly hate you because I go to a party and if someone says to me, "Oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke," I'm like, "You hate me. You have something against my face, and you want me to suffer."
Right.
What's happening?
Right. Just
here.
stab me in the eye if that's what you really want to do.
Get that on a date, guys. Y'all are married, like still dating. You tell somebody. I don't even tell them anymore because it's this. Then they want to tell a lot of jokes, and I'm just like, I'm getting assaulted right now.
Especially men.
Yeah,
men. Are like, oh, you think you're funny?
I'm funny.
Want to hear something from me?
Oh my god!
I've been telling this joke since 1999, and you're like, oh, please don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Like my parents have been seeing me do all like my impressions and stuff since I was a kid. So now it's like to them, my family's like, it's like dinner. We do this we've been doing this since dinner since like '97. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, because I got into comedy a little bit later on in life, and for me, it's like, well, you guys saw it, but nobody else did. Yeah. So, hello world, here are my impressions. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it gives you the stage gives you the opportunity to really be who you want to be, and maybe that was. You didn't get that chance earlier in life, and now you get to do it.
Well, it's nice too. Like I know that when I'm at a show, and if I'm quieter, and then I just know that I'm going to get my time to be on stage.
Yeah.
So just like being aware of like I don't need to be like a big showy person on stage. I will say we were talking about family. My husband is like my number one supporter in stand up, and it's so amazing. It's so amazing having a partner who, from the beginning, he has believed in me. I'm not going to get emotional. I just had to say it so I didn't start crying. But I will. This is just an interesting story. He ended up wanting to do stand-up.
Oh.
And I've never been more jealous in my life. I realize I am so super supportive of him.
Yeah.
But the idea of dating another comedian.
Oh, God.
Like, you're like, what are we doing here? And so, but I had to let him. I was like,
so he's done
go.
it.
So I was like,
how'd it go?
He took a small break from his job and he took a stand-up class. I told him to take it. And his first week, he comes back from class and he's like, I've cracked the code.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
I see what Seinfeld does, and I think I can do it. Like, and you're just like, me doing this for years. And then as weeks went on, he was like, oh my God, I have to stand on stage. And oh my God, like, how do you do this every week?
Do you not know
what do you mean?
What
do you mean I'm going to be in front of people and saying, because he is so fun. He's so social. He's such an extrovert. In social situations, he's the one who just tells so many jokes. He's so good at improv.
But it's different, though.
But when you're on stage, he was like, why do you do this? He literally gave himself the flu the week of the performance.
Oh, my God.
And he had an amazing set. It was a one-night only appearance.
He's not going to come back.
He never went back on stage again. He even after taking the class, he was like, I respect what you do so much, even more than before, because he realized. And so I think every man that you date, you need to tell them.
I don't, unless they do it like your husband, like unless they do it, they're not. And it's the ego too that they have, because men think they're funny all the time, They're like, I want a girl that laughs at my jokes. They always put that in their dating stuff, and I'm like, okay. And I'm an easy laugher. Like, I love to laugh,
right?
But don't when someone's just like,
yes,
oh yeah, I'm gonna try this. Okay, get those panties wet,
Yeah. It is funny though, when my wife and I first started dating, she was like, I love comedy shows. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. And then so we started going to the Laugh Factory and all this other stuff. And she's like, she didn't know in the back of my mind that I had like really just wanted to be a stand-up comic, and that I had done some stand-up prior to that, but like I was kind of off, and And then she was like, one night she was like, you know what? I can never date a comic.
What?
Just couldn't do it.
She said that.
Just couldn't do it. I don't know how. You're you're on the road and all this stuff. I don't understand how these people stay married. Yeah, and now we're married, and she's my biggest supporter too.
Yeah,
and now so she's like my biggest fan, and she tells me when when I suck, and she tells me when I'm awesome. You know what I mean? And so I'll take it. So thank you, honey. And anytime you want to go back to the Laugh Factory and relive our first date, you just let me know. So
that was your first date with
just kidding. That was a joke. Yeah.
Oh no, it's great. I love taking dates to comedy shows because you get to what they laugh at. I clock and I'm like, oh, okay, I get to know how this person really is by what they laugh at.
Yes.
And it's an interesting telltale.
It is.
It's very.
That's so smart.
I do it just because I'm like, oh, I can kill two birds with a stone.
like
See
it.
some comedy,
Yeah.
get a date, get some free drinks. Y'all don't have to worry about that. So
Make it a real doozy. Yeah, so how has comedy changed for you with your voice since you've become a mom?
Well, it's interesting. I think you have to throw away a lot of old material because you don't relate to it anymore. And I think because my daughter is like constantly growing, there's always going to be new jokes and also things that I don't connect to anymore. So I almost feel like I have to be writing more often now than before. Before having a kid, I feel like I could do jokes for like no joke, like 10 years. You could do it. And you know what? I do still have jokes from 10 years ago that I still do to this day because it's a good setup. And I'm like, oh, this still works. But I think that since having a kid, life is coming at you a lot.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have new material and, there's just so much stuff.
how often do you write? Like, are you sitting? And are you sitting down? So you're doing it every day. Is it like a out and about? Because you have to be busy with a kid. And
I didn't have that discipline though until COVID hit.
Okay.
Because I was on this trajectory of like I was going to start headlining, and I had all these shows lined up, and I was at a casino the week before COVID became like before we like locked down.
Yeah.
And then it just stops. And you're like, what do I do with all this stuff that I want to say? And obviously I did Zoom shows and stuff, but you have a lot of time to just sit and write. And that got me really disciplined.
Okay.
Because before COVID, I'd be like, no, I'm just going to improvise on stage. That's what I did a lot of that. I would improvise a lot. And I would find the joke on stage a lot. But I realized...
That's interesting. I've heard people talk about, like, I know...
I don't write down. Yeah, they say I don't write.
Like, Mark was talking about how he didn't used to write. I was like, what are you... I have to visually see the words in order to even keep it in my brain. So
I think I always wrote a set list, like the words, but I didn't sit down and really have it like a transcript. Until COVID, and then I had like all this time, and then I was like able to get rid of the fat, and I was able to say like, oh, take out this line, and this doesn't work, and that's why I'm trying to get clean now. Not sober. I'm never going to be sober.
Just California sober, right?
Drinking and writing, I will always be doing. But I am trying to not curse as much, and I'm trying to say, like, everything, be really specific with my jokes.
Intentional. And just,
that's the better word.
Yeah, we were talking just intentional in your career too. Like, how have you navigated that? Like, how did you go from starting to headlining? And just tell us about that journey. And
I mean, I also think that it's a roller coaster in stand-up.
Yeah.
And I think that before COVID, I was on this like, oh, I'm in a tour. I was not planning on getting pregnant, and I was going to do this whole like...
you had a COVID baby.
I had a COVID baby.
Wow. People were up there.
And so that changes.
Why I did that, but even like
the clip.
what?
The promo.
Listen to her. She's like, oh, Kobe, baby.
Every time someone tells me, I'm like,
Never
God,
seen one of those before.
I was like, people were doing a lot of this during COVID. Was I the only one not getting
You're
it?
just pumping and humping all through COVID, weren't you? That pandemic, baby.
Okay, I didn't say all that. All right.
Yeah.
You know why we ended up getting pregnant? Because we were at home watching Bringing Down the House, with Amy Poehler and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, they watched their 18-year-old child go to college. And my husband was like, I want to see our kid go to college.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, I want that too. Should we have a kid? Like, we had never discussed it before.
Oh, my God.
And just, like, watching this movie, we were like, I want to send my kid off. I was like, let's get rid of the 18 years in between. Let's just send him to college.
Right.
That's how it
That's
works,
a
right?
lead up to
You have the baby, they go to college, and music plays, credits roll.
Like, shall we form an alliance tonight? We shall.
such a thing.
Yeah.
So, what was the question? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, the thing about headlining, also in Los Angeles, a lot of times you're not headlining, or you're still doing those 10-minute spots. It doesn't matter like how big you are. You're still doing 15-minute spots. You're still doing 10-minute spots. Like so you're always hosting, opening, headlining, featuring, starting over again. So it's never like, oh, you've made it to the top and you only do the top headlining shows all the time. You see the biggest comedians drop in on shows,
especially at the store and stuff.
Yeah,
people don't know
store.
that part of it where it's like the trajectory is just not up, up, up. It's kind of like
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And you're constantly having to work on the craft.
You could go perform at like the hottest venue in the country somewhere outside of Los Angeles, and then you come back to Los Angeles and you're doing a dive bar. You know what I mean? And you're doing 5 minutes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's a bringer. So
And you're seeing headliners walk in and do a spot.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club in December, and like for me that's amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
But you can't like think like, oh, that's it for me. Like that doesn't matter. It's just another show. Yeah, it's exciting, but like once you come back here, it's like you might be on a high for like 5 minutes, but when you come back, it's just like right back to the scene, and you're just constantly on the grind, and that's all.
Yeah.
And then it's like you might ask somebody else tomorrow, like, hey, can I get on your show?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Hustle.
that's you gotta hustle. It's not like people are just reaching out to you every single minute.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it's a grind.
Well, and it's interesting too because my husband always says like, even when you get to the top, you're looking for the next thing, and it's never going to be enough. So you always have to come back to the present moment and be like, whatever we're doing now, this is enough.
Yes.
Like getting to perform is enough.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where it is, for how many people. Paul also used to tell me that too. He's like, I don't care if there's 5 people in the audience. It's 5 people who came to see a comedy show. You make those
Yeah,
people
those
laugh.
people
It's
paid.
just as important as like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly. You have to have the same mentality.
You do.
Really throughout your entire career. And like some people were like, oh, I don't do bringers anymore. But every show you have to look at as a bringer in some regard, because
they want you to put butts in seats.
you want you to put butts in seats, and you've got to do enough on your own as a comedypreneur to get people to come to see you, even if it's not a bringer.
Yeah.
You got to be like, you got to have the mindset it is a bringer, because you want people to come see you. And like, if you can bring 5 people will come out to see you just on your name, that's a really good thing. You know what I mean? You know you've got something there.
I think even when you're putting your clips out, when you're putting your special out, when you're going to his shows, like the thing is you want an audience to fall in love with you.
Yeah.
That's like the goal of comedy.
Yeah. I always like to say, like, after I do a show, the person in the audience, I want them to think, you know what, that dude's cool. I would have a beer with that person. You know what I mean?
I love that.
So yeah.
See, I'm sometimes antisocial, so I'm like, I don't know if I want a beer with them. But like,
What if they said, I want to do fantasy football with Kaela Crawford?
And the moment, I'm wondering, because even like through this, like your whole journey through comedy, you still have like this very positive, like, and it's like, I love because a lot of the guests that we've have this really nice outlook that's not the norm
Yeah.
in comedians. And I just want to hear, like, how did that carry on with you, and how did it not get dark, and with all when you're around all of that, because it can be.
Probably my family. My dad was a kid actor, and he was like nominated for an Emmy.
Oh, really?
And he, my uncle was like on the Mickey Mouse Club. He was like an original.
Oh, so it's in your
Musketeer.
blood.
Oh,
He was also nominated for an Emmy the same year as my dad.
Wow.
My uncle was on a show called The Rifleman. My dad was on a show called Laramie. Rifleman still plays today, like every day on TV. Then my dad became a producer with George Roy Hill, which he did like Funny Farm and The World According to Garp and Butch Cassidy and The Sting. And so it's like he has lived a million lifetimes. And I remember he did a talk back at Yale that I went to. And they said, what was your greatest accomplishment? And he said, having my kids.
Yes, that's how it should be.
Who is this man? I would have been like, what are you, like getting nominated for an Emmy, like.
Father?
Yeah. You see, he's so proud of like his family, and he just has such like a strong foundation and a base. And I think I have such amazing parents. I mean, my mother constantly tells me to brush my hair, and like she is like always gonna like bring me back down to earth.
Yeah.
That's funny because my mother reminded me to take my testosterone medication this morning.
Oh my God. Well, that's a little too close.
I was like, Mom, boundaries. Yeah.
She's so awesome.
Did you use Colgate or did you use Aquaphor?
She's very like, are you okay? Do you need to?
I'm like, Ma,
really awesome.
I love you, but maybe lay off a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, grateful to have you out here, Mom.
Like having that home base and then having my daughter and my husband, it's like going home to them at night and knowing like, oh, let's watch Bill Maher, or let's do this together. Having like life outside of comedy is so important. And keeps me grounded and happy. Yeah,
because I feel like a lot of people are like, this is it. Mm-hmm. This is if I can't do anything. And I'm like, you have life. You're alive. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, you get to do anything you want with your life. This is not it.
Right.
This is just a part of it.
This is a part. It's all about balance. Like, I still am in this mentality right now where I'm wanting to go out every night and do stand-up every single night. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long that lasts, but I'm really actively, I've been doing it now for a couple of weeks. Like, I want to go out every night because it really brings me joy and it lifts me up. Yep. And my husband's so proud of me, and he's like, go do it, do your shows. And then I know that he's got the baby, and I'm driving home to like this wonderful family. And then I'm still waking up at 5 a.m. and so I'm a little bit delirious. And daylight savings really messed things up even more.
Oh, it sure did. And a little bit is generous.
Oh my God, seriously. And I don't know. Like, I think it also shifts. Like, sometimes I want to be, like, more just home and writing and not going out and doing the stand-up and just trying to hone in on my craft and be like, what do I want to talk about now?
Yeah, you know? for sure. I mean, you're going out every night and doing stand-up. At what point did you say to yourself, you know what, I got to turn this into a business for myself?
Honestly, I think right when I started doing it, I was like, I want to make stand-up a part of my life forever, and I have goals, and I think that's super important, too, is to have those goals and know where you want to take it. Because, like, we were just talking about, like, merchandise, like, oh, I should sell merchandise. Oh, a comedy album. Oh, I should create a comedy album. But, like, when you really write it down, it's so important to, like, manifest, figure out what it is that you want from this career.
And see it. And
really see it. Yeah. Like, for me right now, super important that I'm clean. And it's super important that I'm getting together my tape to submit to festivals and specific ones that I really want to do that I haven't done. Going to New York, doing shows in New York, going to San Francisco and Santa Barbara, and like really hitting up the spots that I want to like build a fan base.
Right, for sure.
Specificity, seems like, is the key to really carving out the life or career that you want. It seems like you're being very specific, especially since you have limited time with a kid.
With having a kid, you have to have like goals of like, okay, what is the next thing? Because I mean, you could just be doing stand-up every night and be like, this is it. Like, this is the goal. This is what I want to be doing. But then you can also say like, oh, but on a bigger, grander scheme, this is where I want to end up, and these are the steps that I'm going to take to get there.
Yeah. I don't know why I did that. Like, I was on stage and gave me the light. I was like, ignite. I was like,
thank you.
You know you're a comic.
You know you're a comic. We're like, that's the light. Okay, we got 5.
Yeah. When you have a podcast and your producer holds your hand up and you're like, yep, that, and you think that's the light.
I was like,
everything's a light. Everything's a light.
We got the light.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but
When
no.
my wife comes in and she's like, "Hello, honey," I'm like, "Okay, this is it. Yeah, all right."
It hunts
many more
us.
minutes? Yeah.
This light in hand hunts us, guys. Like,
Yeah.
it will
That's
always.
a good way to get your partner's attention. You just like hold up a phone,
Yeah.
like for a comic. If you're a
That's what my
comic.
wife does now. I was like, "If you want my attention, just take your phone and wave it like this."
Nuts, go. How do you have the energy to go out every night though? Like, what are you just?
I mean, I don't even know actually. Like, it's a constant struggle. But around 3 p.m. and when you've been with your kid during the day, you're like,
Oh, you're ready
I
to
could
get out.
go out. I'm ready to tap out. It's like wrestling. You're like, you got this, right? All right.
Yeah. The referee's like, "You good?" I'm like,
Yeah.
the hand comes up, and all of a sudden you're like Hulk Hogan. You're hulking up.
Only so many times that you can sing "Wheels on the Bus" where you're like, I gotta get out of here. So,
You're like,
wheels
Oh
on
my
the
God!
bus.
Did your kid ever watch Miss Rachel?
Yes, every morning. at
People
5 a.m.
love that. I just heard about that.
She's amazing, but I will tell you, her songs live in my head rent free.
Lives in my head.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
has brown hair and brown eyes, and sometimes my daughter, I think, looks at me and is like, "Are you Miss Rachel?" She like goes back and forth between like, I think my mom might be this lady.
My
This
kid has
lady
a.
might be my mom.
I think my son thinks it's his girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, because I put him on in like the swing, and she's like, "Hi," and he goes, and then she gets so excited, and he melts, and I'm like, "Dude, like you're like a lot younger than her. You gotta wait a little bit to ask her out." And she's married. I'm pretty sure she's married. Yeah, so
I saw someone post a video of them dressing up like her for their kid, and the kid went crazy. I'm like, okay, you dress up like your favorite. I don't know.
yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Mm-hmm.
What like got the two of you into this podcast, and how did you meet? Is this already on like another episode of another podcast?
People are interested in our dynamic because
I know.
No, I love it. Like, how did
People
you
like
meet?
us. They really like us.
we met at a mic.
Did
and like I was saying,
We
you don't
met
meet
at
a
a mic.
lot of nice.
Wait, that should be the name of the next podcast.
We met at a mic.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
At the mic.
Yeah.
Two comedians, one mic. Yeah.
And Jason's just a really like nice, like I'm
I'm a
all
piece of
about
shit. What are
good
you talking
energy.
about?
Shut up. Like good energy, just nice people who like there are some people who, especially comedians, who go out of their way just to be assholes, and I'm like, there's no need for that at all. And he was just a nice person, just started talking, and we.
You seem like a sweet person. Would you like to do a podcast with me?
Well, yeah, we did shows and stuff, and then this came out of in Baltimore. This came.
Yeah, we met
out of
at
Baltimore.
a mic. I think it was the Hollywood Comedy, like a long time ago, and then we started to stay in touch, and then we formed this like little writing group together with.
Oh
some
yeah, there were
other
more.
comics.
There were more people.
There was more people, and like a lot of people like dropped off,
Went
but we
in,
always
yeah.
kind of like, and we just stayed tight, and then we started doing some other shows together, and then I did a couple. I'm from Baltimore, and I did a couple sold out shows in Baltimore, and I brought Lena with me, and she stayed. She stayed at my house, stayed with my family, and everything like that.
She's
And
so
we had an awesome time, and then we just we actually shot our like a small little like rough podcast in Baltimore, and then. Yeah, like I said, we
Started
kind of had a
doing
little
here.
tribe, and
Yeah.
some people fell off, but we stayed together, and here we are.
Here we are.
See, I love that. I
Yeah.
love those stories, like the happy accidents, where it's like
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to come from it, and then you create something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you go where the good vibes are, and
Yeah.
you just know when someone's simpatico, and you're like,
That's
oh, well, that.
another quote too.
Yeah, it just
Simpatico.
makes
I
you
love that
go,
word.
okay, this is a person kind of just like, okay, I feel comfortable. And especially in doing stand up and you're fairly new, you're like, this is scary. I need a tribe. You need a tribe.
You try.
Yeah. See, new comics, open mics aren't that bad.
No, I'm not saying all that, but
1 in a million, but it works out sometimes.
you need a tribe, though.
You do.
Yeah, yeah.
You go where the good vibes are. That's
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
just
yeah.
said. And I was like, yes, that's
Go where the-
exactly Because doing it alone, I mean, stand-up is...
It's alone, yeah.
And it can be lonely. If you don't find people that you connect with, that you can kind of go to the clubs with, like, it can be lonely.
Oh, for sure. It can definitely be a lonely world, and that's why you definitely have to have a good support system around you.
Yeah. And there's only so many times that I can go up to my husband and be like, is this funny?
I know.
Yeah.
I just,
Like every morning, waking him up and being like, okay, I've got this joke.
yeah, me too. Yeah, no.
No. I'm like, come on, just one.
Yeah.
Wait, did you laugh? Did you laugh? Are you snoring? You're like,
I know. Please just laugh, would you? My wife's like, it's 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes with like a joke
oh my
idea.
God, that's
I'll write
horrible.
it on my notes on my phone because
It's
I used to wake my
painful.
husband up and he's like, please stop.
Right.
It's painful when you're trying to sleep and you get a joke and you have to write it down.
Yes,
or
you
you
have
know
to.
you're gonna forget it.
I just
sometimes it's
start
like
doing my
voice
set
memo.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
night when I'm sleeping. I'm like, I got a new one here, folks. How many people? LA, I'm Jason Schuster. Thanks so much. My wife's like, what are you fucking talking about?
I get a lot when I'm driving in the car, and y'all, sometimes I'm like, I gotta get this. Like, it's not worth my life, but I'm over here like still doing. I don't know why it happens driving, but it is
I
a
run
weird
my
thing.
set sometimes in my living room with the remote control. My mic, and I just say,
Hey, everybody.
and now my baby will sometimes come in and she'll have a remote control and be talking into it. And I was like, listen, there's only one person that does stand up in this family, okay? One.
Yeah. Who do you think you are, kid?
That's hilarious. First your dad, and now you,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Is that a bit? I think we have a bit there.
I know, right?
Yeah. Write that down. We're all like, write it down now.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love that so much. It is so important, though. Like, I love the process and the journey. But we do have an important question that we need to ask you.
Yeah.
He loves to do it though for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you ready for this? Just take a deep
Does
breath.
it in a way.
Might need a little whiskey.
I feel like, for some reason, I feel like I'm going to win something. Even though I'm not.
You win nothing. Okay.
You win absolutely nothing out of this. But what is your favorite ice cream, Kaela Crawford?
Mint chip.
Mint. Oh, we
chip.
got
And
the
cookie dough.
people like the mints.
Cookie dough and mint chip tie.
It's good in
that
ice
is-
cream.
That is really interesting.
Basic.
I think mint chip, well, cookie dough you can't go wrong with.
Yeah.
Mint chip has been a solid
I've never had
vote in this
Never
podcast.
had it. Wow.
Wait, what?
Never had, because I
What,
didn't
what?
think mint and ice cream would be good. But wow, so
It's refreshing. It's delightful. You have a meal. and
Yeah.
I'd like some mint.
Cleanses the palate.
Yeah, better than a mint.
Yeah.
Wait, what? That's a commercial.
Yeah.
Should we do
Yeah,
a
should we
commercial?
do-
a commercial?
Yeah. Yeah. Briars, we are available.
Yes.
Yeah.
we sponsors. We need
I don't know why I
sponsors.
picked Briars.
I was
This is the
thinking
most
Ben and
random one.
Jerry's, but you
Yeah, like-
Briars.
Briars.
Better than Briars.
That was Stewie. Briars, like Stewie Griffin.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
that's Stewie.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. I tell you, I couldn't figure it out on the last episode we did. Now it's like, all this comes out. Briars. Yeah, Peter.
It was killing you too. You were like,
Couldn't get it out.
Just
I was like, and now Kayla's just like, Briars.
Like, I have no you should do impressions. I bet. Like, do you like honestly? Yeah.
Oh my
You
god.
do good ones. Just the
Yeah.
way your face and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I definitely do a lot of impressions
Yeah.
of like my mom, and
Yeah.
like I have one right now of like my grandma and taking her makeup because I don't wear any makeup, and my blush is
Yeah.
like from 1929. Like my grandmother is being like, "We've passed this blush down for centuries."
you know where you have no makeup on now, do you?
It's very minimal. I say like I
Your
have a
skin is
joke where it's like my eyeliner is from like 2013.
Okay, I think that's not
probably not-
hygieno at all.
That's
Like, I
probably
think you
not
gotta
good,
get
right?
rid of
That's
that.
probably-
But no,
You should talk.
but out of all the things I wanted to know about, I really want to know what year your eyeliner was from
Yeah.
today. You know? And now we're complete.
Like, gross.
We are complete.
Now we've done it all.
We've done it all.
We want to know what's next. We tell people what you have coming up and like what's next.
I have a lot of shows coming up, so follow me at Kaela Crawford, Kaela.
Yeah.
Crawford. Yeah, you do have to say that
Yeah.
because people spell it with a Y. And then I'm hoping to film my hour.
Woo woo!
I'm putting that out there, and I want to call it "I'm Happy for You." So
Yeah. And we are super happy for
Can't
you and
wait.
all your accomplishments in comedy. Kaela, thank you so much for being here today. It was a blast.
Yeah.
thanks for
Such
having
a
me, you
blast.
guys.
Amazing.
This is so fun. That went by so fast.